Hey, shalom, shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Captain Zakar here. And today we're going to go over class, your setbacks are comebacks. Okay, that's going to be the title of today's class. Your setbacks are comebacks. All right. Let's pull up some definitions first before we get into it. Giving them definition of setback, or I think it's thesaurus what we got first. It might be definition. Okay. Let's see. All right. Read definition number 2 of a setback.
Setback, definition number 2, defeat or reverse.
A defeat. So a setback is a defeat or reverse. You went the opposite way of where you was going. You was on your way to somewhere, and you got turned around. You was defeated, right? Give me that next one that we got on there. I think that one comes from the thesaurus. Let's see. Pull it up. Just pull it up, man. I already said. All right. So let's see. Read that for a setback, a thesaurus. Go ahead.
Setback, a change in status for the worse, usually temporarily.
There we go. That's the point I wanted to bring out. It says it's a change in status for the worst, usually. Right? But it's usually temporary. That's what you got to keep in mind about setbacks. It may be a change for the worse. Usually it's temporary. And we'll go into that today. Let's read some of them synonyms that it's got down there for it. Read that.
Reversal, reversion, knock, regression, breakdown, fall, crash, turnabout, meltdown.
Okay, go ahead. Keep reading.
Reverse, decline, downfall, collapse, letdown, relapse.
Okay, relapse. Setbacks are relapses. Okay. So we got defeat. They setbacks, downfalls, a regression. Let's go to the definition of comeback from Merriam's as well. Let's pull that up. Comeback. So the first definition you see, it says a sharp or witty reply. You know, it's somebody that always got a smart reply back, right? It's real quick with it. May not be smart, but real quick with it. A cause for complaint. Read number 2, though.
Comeback, a return to a former position or condition as of success.
As of success. Go ahead.
Or prosperity.
Or prosperity. So you've got setbacks, which are turnarounds, fall downs, regression. Comebacks, though, are return to a former position or condition as of success. Let's get that next definition. It says it's of the thesaurus of comeback. Thesaurus of comeback. Yeah, let's pull that up. We can't just click over to them. Y'all got to show me every time? Everything? Okay. Go ahead, read that.
Comeback, as in recover, to become healthy and strong again.
So a comeback is in a thesaurus definition of it, as in to recover. Recover yourself. Let's read the synonyms and similar words of comeback.
Recover, heal, recuperate, come around, convalesce, revive.
Revive.
Cheer up.
Cheer up. Cheer up after that setback. Come on back. Cheer up. Go ahead.
Improve. Come to. Rally.
Rally. It seemed like the odds were set against you, but you rallied and you came back. Go ahead.
Recoup. Mend. Pull through. Recruit. Snap back.
Snap back. So, all right, we could drop the definitions. Today's class. So keep those definitions, those words, those synonyms, similar words in your mind. Your setbacks are comebacks. Let's read that in Sirach chapter 40. Let's read verse 1 on down. Sirach chapter 40, verse 1. Let's see about these setbacks and comebacks. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 40 and verse 1. Great travail is created for every man.
You got to understand that. Understand that great travail is for every man. You know, a lot of the times we say this to ourselves, even Christians understand this. They'll say it, but not actually understand what it means. They'll say, we're born into a life of sin. What does that mean? Read that again, that verse.
Great travail is created for every man.
It's great travail the moment you come into the earth. It's a survival of the fittest, but you're going to catch hell while you're in this flesh is what God's saying. Read on.
And an heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam from the day that they go out of their mother's womb.
From the moment you're born, you're actually fighting for survival. When you're an infant, you're fighting off what? Diseases and things of that nature. You are really helpless. You're vulnerable as a baby. So you're in great travail, needing the protection of your father and your mother. You're needing the milk from your mother. You're needing the sustenance from your father. You need these things. This great travail, God says, from the moment you come out of your mother's womb. A baby left to itself will surely perish. Read on.
Till the day that they return to the mother of all things.
Go ahead, keep reading.
Their imagination of things to come and the day of death. Trouble their thoughts.
Trouble their what?
Their thoughts.
Trouble their thoughts. Remember that. We're going to swing back around 180 to that somewhere towards the end of class. Their thoughts. Go ahead.
And cause fear of heart from him that sitteth on a throne of glory, unto him that is humbled in earth and ashes, from him that weareth purple and a crown, unto him that is clothed with a linen frock.
All of us have great travail, whether you are sitting on a throne or whether you are sitting on or laying on a corner in a box somewhere. God has said that travail is for all flesh. Keep reading.
Wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death.
Now here's the travail that all of us have to go through as man upon earth. Go ahead, keep reading.
And anger and strife, and in the time of rest upon his bed, his night's sleep do change his knowledge.
That's called nightmares, right? Your mind just ain't right. You have a nightmare. You're falling and you wake up right before you hit the ground. Go ahead.
A little or nothing is his rest.
Tossing and turning. Go ahead.
And afterward he is in his sleep, as in a day of keeping watch, troubled in the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of a battle. When all is safe, he awaketh and marveleth that the fear was nothing.
The fear was nothing.
Such things happen unto all flesh.
Unto who?
All flesh.
God said those things happen to all flesh. No matter if they're a billionaire upon the earth, no matter if they don't have any money in their account, the fear of death, unquietness, anger, strife, nightmares, the thoughts that cause fear upon the mind. All flesh goes through that great travail of catching hell upon earth. Read verse 8 again.
Such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners.
Give me that in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13 now. Let's see, because it said, Paul said it again himself about the great travail. But what did he say about it? Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man.
So that great travail, all flesh, that's going to be common to man. All of us are going to have those thoughts. All of us are going to have those fears of death. All of us are going to have strife in our life. We're going to have unquietness, a time where there's no peace in our life. We're just going to catch hell in this flesh. It's going to be great travail, thus saith the Lord. It's going to be common to all man. All of those temptations, right? Read.
But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it.
That's the mercy of the Most High, that although that great travail is upon us and we catch hell upon earth, there is a way out of those things. There is actually a way to come back after the setback. Give me that in Sirach chapter 2, verse 1. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, verse 1. We're going to start out here and we'll come back later. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1.
Yeah.
My son, if thou come to serve the Lord.
If you come to serve the Lord, do what?
prepare thy soul for temptation.
Preparation for temptation is something we all got to get our mind fixed upon, because we all going to go through it. Why? God just told us it's common to all man. So read that again.
My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
All of us have to prepare ourselves for temptation, because it's going to be common to us all. All of us going to experience that in the flesh, the temptation that draws you sometimes away from God, and sometimes you fall to it and you end up set back and have to organize your thoughts and be ready to prepare yourself for a comeback. But all of us got to fix our minds upon that, even if we are repentant. Here's the proof of it. Give me that in Luke chapter 4. And I want you to read verse 13.
Luke chapter 4 and verse 13.
Yeah.
And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season.
He departed from Christ for a season, meaning what? He was going to come back with the temptation to tempt Christ. But how did Christ prepare himself to battle the temptation while he was upon the earth? Jump back up to verse 2.
Verse 2. Being 40 days tempted of the devil, and in those days he did eat nothing. And when they were ended, he afterward hungered. And the devil said unto him, If thou be the Son of God, command this stone that it be made bread.
Now, the Satan can use temptation to set you back in your diet. We know in today's time, many people are dieting. They're trying to get in good health, take care of the temple of the Lord that God gave them. How does Satan try to set you back? With temptations of breaking the diet, the way of life that you have learned how to eat, to set you back in that goal that you're trying to accomplish by tempting you with food, right? And you might be repentant and he's doing those things, but that's one of the temptations that Satan uses, even if you repented. Go ahead, read verse 4. Let's see what Christ did. How did he fight the temptation? Let's read that.
And Jesus answered him, saying, It is written, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God.
There you go. That's how we fight the temptations, by every word of God, not just by bread alone, but by every word. It helps us overcome. We're going to dive more into that as we go on through this class. Read on, verse 5.
And the devil, taking him up into an high mountain, showed unto him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Mm-hmm. And the devil said unto him, All this power will I give thee, and the glory of them. For that is delivered unto me, and to whomsoever I will, I give it.
I give it. Go ahead.
If thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine.
Because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So Satan, all he needs to do is to set you back, is to tempt you with things that the wicked desire. If you choose to take hold of those things, Satan is waiting there, making it seem as if it's a come up, but it's actually a setback for you spiritually. Go ahead, keep reading.
And Jesus answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
Read on.
And he brought him to Jerusalem, and set him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down from hence. For it is written, He shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone.
Read.
And Jesus answering said unto him, It is said, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God.
Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So what is Satan? Satan is the tempter that is sent by the Lord to see if we are going to go after our own desires. And those in different cases, food. Man needs that. What was the next one? He tempted him with power. We want that, some form of control that's inside of man, right? He tempted him with tempting the Lord, right? That's in all of us. Because why? We just read it. All those things are common to man. Satan is the tempter to see. He's sent to see if we are going to go after our desires or if we are going to follow God. If we're going to succumb to those things or follow God. Now, give me that in James chapter 1. Let's expound on that some more. So understand who is always trying to set you back. It is Satan and his minions to see, are you going to succumb to your own desires or are you going to follow God? Let's read that James chapter 1 and let's read verse 13.
James chapter 1 and verse 13. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God.
So that's what you got to understand in your mind. God ain't tempting you. That's Satan that is tempting you. Did he go to God and get permission first? Yes, he did. We read that in the book of Job. He said he gets permission to come to tempt you with your own desires first from the Most High God, because God wants to see, are you going to follow him or are you going to succumb to your own desires? Read that again, verse 13.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man.
Neither he tempteth any man. We'll come back to this. Now let's give me that Sirach 15. Why does God not tempt any man? Sirach 15. Let's read verse 11 and 12.
Sirach chapter 15 and verse 11.
Yeah.
Say not thou, it is through the Lord that I fell away. For thou oughtest not to do the things that he hateth.
He hates what? What does he hate? Keep reading.
Say not thou, he hath caused me to err. For he hath no need of the sinful man.
God hateth the sinful man. So God wouldn't send temptation from his own self to cause us to fall. That ain't what God wants. God does not want us to fall. It's the adversary, Satan, that tries us. But the thing is, you got to understand, what does he try us with? Let me see. Go back to James now. What does Satan try us with? So it ain't God that's wanting us to fall. No, he does not want us to fall when we come up against him. Read that in James 1 verse 14.
James chapter 1 and verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
His own lust. Read on.
And enticed. Then when lust hath conceived.
Hold on, read that again, verse 14.
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed.
And enticed. So Satan does what? Satan is only able to tempt us with the desires that are in our own spirits, in our flesh. That's all Satan has. That's the only power that he has over us. It's not even a power he has unless you give it to him. Satan has no power. He can only use tricks, what the Bible called wiles, evil persuasion, like he tried with Christ. He tried to persuade him in a slick manner to go against God. Oh, surely if thou, he will catch thee. Christ knows that. So what is Satan doing? Trying to tempt him with the mercies of God. Read that again, verse 14.
Verse 14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed.
And enticed. We're going to come back to that. Give me that in Mark chapter 7. So we can understand the things that are in us that Satan will try to use. Half of the battle of not being set back is knowing the enemy's tricks, the enemy's war plan, the enemy's game plan against you. Mark chapter 7, verse 21 on down.
Mark chapter 7 and verse 21. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye.
An evil eye. Go ahead.
Blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man.
Read that again, verse 23.
All these evil things come from within and defile the man.
So these are the things that Satan will try to use against us to cause us to lust, try to entice us with the same thing that he tried to do with Christ. He tried to entice him with what? Covetousness. If thou bow down and worship me, all shall be thine. That's covetousness. These are the things that are in us. So we have to be aware that we do not allow Satan to use these things to cause us to be set back in our walk. Right? So give me that in what I want. 2 Ezra chapter 7. So understanding that we was all born into war and was commanded to fight, you can't give up. We was all born in the war. When you read about we was born into sin, made in sinful flesh, you was born in a war. Whether you like it or not, you got to accept the terms of the condition and fight. 2 Ezra chapter 7, let's read verse 48.
2 Ezra chapter 7 and verse 48.
Here's the proof.
O thou Adam, what hast thou done?
What hast thou done? Go ahead.
For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come of thee.
There you go. That was the condition of the battle. You was ordained to fight the battle. All of us. That's what Ezra said. But we all that come of thee. We have to fight the battle because Adam failed. Every one of us that was born after that, now we are in a battle. We was ordained, basically what they're saying, we was ordained to have a setback, but ultimately come back. Jump down to verse 57 now.
Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle.
We was given an order to fight. This is the condition of the battle. Since Adam entered us into a war that none of us started, this is the condition of the battle. Or you could say, Lord, I don't want to be in the battle. Take my life. Well, you don't have the option to do that because you didn't give yourself life. Your life belongs to God. So if he says you go in the battle, damn it, you go in the battle. Read that again for him, verse 57.
Verse 57. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight.
Now, the sad part about it is that many people don't even know that they in a battle. That's when they are fully given to sin. They feel alive on earth. They are living it up. They are YOLO, living their best life. Many don't even know that they in a battle. They losing spiritually. All praises to the Most High that he's opened our eyes that we know that we in a battle. And he was even merciful enough to give us the game plan of our adversary. He's going to entice you. That's all he can do. The things that are in you, those things are he's going to use to entice you. Don't let him win. Give me that in Galatians chapter 5 now. Galatians chapter 5, and I want you to read verse 17. Galatians 5, verse 17 on down.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh.
The flesh battles with the spirit. That's what it means. That's the condition of the battle, that the flesh will battle against the spirit. That battle is what? The spirit tells you, you know you shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. The flesh entices you, which Satan uses, entices you, says, it's okay. You deserve to feel good. God made you this way. He knows your heart. Those are the enticing words that Satan uses to try to set you back in the battle against the flesh. Read it again, verse 17.
For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if you be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law.
That goes back to verse 22. Jump down to verse 22 and 23. Let's give us some understanding on that real quick. If you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the law. Read verse 22.
Verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love.
Here's the Spirit. If you're in this Spirit, you're not under the law of what? Sacrifice. Go ahead.
Joy, peace, long suffering.
That love is the keeping of commandments. Go ahead.
Gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
There you go. Now go back and read verse 18. So this is for the Christians that may be watching so they can understand what it means. You're not under the law. Go ahead. Verse 18 again.
Verse 18. But if you be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness.
Now these are the things that are fighting against you in the flesh. Remember, these are the things that Satan uses to try to entice you. He's going to use adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. Go ahead.
Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God.
So those are the things that the flesh battles against your spirit with, to please it, right? Satan, use those to entice you, to try to set you back, right? And this is the thing about it. Sometimes the travail of life, the fear of death, the unquietness, the hatred, all of those things that we read back in Sirach 40, that plague the mind, sometimes the travail of life gets the best of you. It's just so much and you lose the battle. In the war, sometimes great travail is just overcomes you. Okay, let's see. Give me that in Sirach 15. We're not ignorant to that fact. God ain't either. Let's read it. Sirach chapter 15, verse 18 through 20.
Sirach chapter 15 and verse 18. For the wisdom of the Lord is great, and he is mighty in power, and beholdeth all things.
He sees everything. Go ahead.
And his eyes are upon them that fear him, and he knoweth every work of man.
So he sees all that we do, right? Even our inner thoughts. But even with the great travail being so much, and sometimes we lose the battle, verse 20.
He hath commanded no man to do wickedly.
Even in his infinite wisdom, he still didn't give us a commandment to do wickedly. Read on.
Neither hath he given any man license to sin.
Even in his wisdom, he still didn't give us license to sin, even though life is hard. You catch hail upon it. God still didn't give us a sin. Although he's merciful, he knows what we are dealing with. He put us in the flesh to battle. He knows these things are upon the earth. He still didn't give us a license to give into it and sin. Give me that in Sirach chapter 7. It says it again. Sirach chapter 7, and I want you to read 8 and 9.
Sirach chapter 7 and verse 8.
Yeah.
Bind not one sin upon another, for in one thou shalt not be unpunished. Say not, God will look upon the multitude of my oblations. And when I offer to the Most High God, he will accept it.
So God understands that we are going to have setbacks. He understands that. Yet and still, he does not give us the approval to sin. You have to fight. That's the condition of the battle. Even if you don't want to, God did not give you the license to sin. No, you have to fight the battle. Get that in your mind. Make that a staple in your mind that I've got to fight the flesh. I've got to fight the enticing of Satan. I've got to overcome these things. I cannot give up in this battle. God commanded me that I cannot have a license to sin. I've got to fight the temptations. I got to fight the enticing. Give me that in Sirach. Let's see what I want. Sirach chapter 2nd Ezra 7. That's where I am. 2nd Ezra chapter 7, and I want you to read 62 through 64. Second Ezra chapter 7, verse 62 on down.
Second Ezra chapter 7 and verse 62.
Here it goes. Read that.
I answered then and said, I know, Lord, that the Most High is called merciful.
He's called merciful. Yes, he is. Go ahead.
In that he hath mercy upon them which are not yet come into the world, and upon those also that turn to his law, and that he is patient.
He is what?
Patient.
He is patient. He's patient to those that are doing what? That are actually fighting in the battle. He's not patient to those that are not fighting. No. Your time will come. The day that you have, that is, what is saying, Job, that you can't, the bound that you cannot pass. When that time comes, there won't be no mercy extended like Hezekiah. Why? Because you're not fighting. He's not patient with those that are giving up in the battle, because he did not command you to sin, to give into it. No, not at all. Verse 64 again.
And that he is patient and long suffereth those that have sinned as his creature. And that he is bountiful, for he is ready to give where it needeth. And that he is of great mercy, for he multiplieth more and more mercies to them that are present and that are past, and also to them which are to come.
Go back up to verse 64 real quick.
Yes, sir. And that he is patient and long suffereth those that have sinned as his creatures.
Read on.
And that he is bountiful, for he is ready to give where it needeth.
Now that's what now look at that. God knows that you're going to have setbacks, so he's ready to give where it's needed for those that are fighting in the battle. He's merciful. He's patient with us. He's long suffering to those that do not give in and to the license and sin and say, God know my heart. I'm under grace. No, he expects you to come back. Here's some proof of it. Keep reading.
Verse 66.
Yep.
And that he is of great mercy, for he multiplieth more and more mercies to them that are present and that are past, and also to them which are to come. For if he shall not multiply his mercies, the world would not continue with them that inherit therein. And he pardoneth, for if he did not so of his goodness, that they which have committed iniquities might be eased of them.
Go ahead, keep reading, finish it out.
The 10,000th part of men should not remain living.
So setbacks are expected upon the earth. God understands that he knows that it still didn't give us a license to sin, meaning we are to battle the flesh. We are to overcome Satan, right? He knows those things. Give me that in Sirach chapter 18. So let's see, Sirach 18, and I want you to read 9 on down.
Sirach chapter 18 and verse 9.
So this is the mercies of God. Go ahead.
The number of a man's days at the most are 100 years. As a drop of water unto the sea, and a gravel stone in comparison of the sand. So are 1,000 years to the days of eternity. Therefore is God patient.
Therefore God is what?
Is patient.
Therefore God is patient. We just read that. God is patient with us, right? Go ahead.
With them, and poureth forth his mercy upon them. He saw and perceived their end to be evil. Therefore he multiplied his compassion.
He did what?
Multiplied his compassion.
He multiplied his compassion. Now check this out. Read the next verse.
The mercy of man is toward his neighbor. But the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh.
The mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh. All has been extended some mercy, right? Read.
He reproveth.
He does what?
He reproveth.
He reproveth.
And nurtureth. And teacheth.
And teacheth.
And bringeth again.
And do what?
Bringeth again.
Although you have setbacks in this earth, God is already expecting you to come back. You can't just lay down in the setback. You just can't give up. No, because God said he's merciful to you in the setback. So in that setback, he's going to nurture you. He's going to reprove you. That's the correction. He's going to nurture you. He's going to build you up, keep you in contact with somebody. He's going to speak to your spirit in a class when you was, oh man, I was just thinking of, that's God nurturing you. And then he's going to bring you back. That's the comeback. Read that again, verse 13 from the top.
Verse 13. The mercy of man is toward his neighbor, but the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh. He reproveth and nurtureth and teacheth and bringeth again, as a shepherd his flock.
So all those setbacks, God knows setbacks are going to happen in the flesh. He expects a comeback out of you. He expects you to get back up. Give me that in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. Yes, he knows setbacks was going to come. He applied mercy to those that are past, those that are present, and to those that are come that turn to his law, because he expects a comeback out of you. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16.
Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again.
He comes back. Setbacks are a part of life, but you are commanded to come back if you are righteous. Read the next part.
But the wicked shall fall into mischief.
The wicked fall and stay in sin, not the righteous, not those that God has called, not the chosen. No, we might have some setbacks, but God expects us to come back. Read that again for him. Verse 16.
Verse 16. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again.
You are commanded to come back. And 7 times is just a number. It might be more than that, but God expects you to get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up again. Read on.
But the wicked shall fall into mischief.
No, that's not you, because God called you to be righteous. He called you into his marvelous light. You're not meant to stay down. Not at all. Psalms chapter 37, and let's read verse 24.
Psalms chapter 37 and verse 24.
So understand from the jump, your setback was always meant to be a comeback. Always. Verse 24.
Though he fall.
Though he what?
Though he fall.
Though you fall. Though you have a turnaround, a regression, a fall. Can we pull up those definition of a setback? I want to use the words because that's why we started out the class with those, so you can understand what they are. I wanted the synonyms. Go to the thesaurus of them. Yeah. Pull it up. Though you have a reversal, though you have a knock, a breakdown, a fall, a crash, a turnabout, a reverse, a decline, a collapse, a disappointment in yourself and maybe in others that was looking up to you. Read that again in Psalms 34 and verse 24. Psalms 37, 24.
Verse 24. Though he fall.
Though you have those disappointments and the declines and things of those nature. Read.
He shall not be utterly cast down.
No, you're not utterly cast down because God already said you got to get back up. He's going to reprove you. He's going to nurture you and bring you back again. Though you fall, you ain't utterly cast down. God already multiplied he already embedded the mercies into your life so you can get back up and be a comeback to all those that are watching you in your lapse, your decline, your downfall, your turnabout. He already applied the mercies to you. Now you just got to get back up. Read that again, verse 24.
Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down. For the Lord upholdeth him with his hand.
Hold on. God does what?
Upholdeth him with his hand.
God said, I'll uphold you with my hand. And who's that hand that he gave us? Jesus the Christ. That's the arm of God. He said, I'll hold you up when you fall. He'll lift your head back up, but you just got to be willing to look up for your redemption draw nigh. Give me that in Psalm 138 now. So God said that with his hand, he lift you up. Psalm 138, verse 6 and 7.
Psalm chapter 138 and verse 6.
Yep.
Though the Lord be high.
Though the Lord be on high. Go ahead.
Yet hath he respect unto the lowly.
Unto the who?
The lowly.
Unto the lowly God has respect to. Not the prideful, because pride is a sin. So he has respect unto the lowly, to the humble, to those looking to get back up, but just need some help. Read on.
But the proud he knoweth afar off.
Read on.
Though I walk in the midst of trouble.
Though I walk in the midst of trouble. That trouble is that travail that is upon the earth. That trouble is the evil that is in all mankind. The adultery, the lasciviousness, the theft, the evil eye. Though we have these troubles on the inside of us. Read on.
Thou wilt revive me.
That's that bring back again we just read in 2nd Ezra. God said, I will reprove you. He's going to correct you. He's going to nurture you as a father does a son or a daughter. And then he brings you back. That is what it say again? The reviving. Read that again, from the top. I like that. That's good.
Verse 6, though the Lord be high, yet hath he respect unto the lowly. But the proud he knoweth afar off.
Read on.
Though I walk in the midst of trouble, thou wilt revive me. Thou shalt stretch forth thine hand.
No, thou shalt stretch forth thy hand to the humble. He just read to the lowly. He just said it in verse 6. He's going to stretch forth his hand to the lowly. Read.
Against the wrath of mine enemies.
Against the wrath of my enemies. And he's going to do what?
And thy right hand shall save me.
And thy right hand shall save me. God is extending his hand to those that want to come back from the setback. It's there. We just got to take hold of it. Christ is there with his hand extended. Christ is there and knock it at the door. Give me that in Isaiah chapter 59 now. Isaiah chapter 59, and I want you to read verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 1.
Yeah.
Behold, the Lord's hand is not short.
Hold on. The Lord's what?
The Lord's hand is not short.
It's not shortened.
That it cannot save.
That it cannot what?
Cannot save.
David just told you it'll save you. The Lord heard the prayer of the lowly. God is speaking through the mouth of Isaiah and said, my hand ain't shortened. It's there to save those that want to come back, that want to get back up and fight Satan, although they might have had a setback. God said, my hand ain't shortened. Read that from the top again.
Verse 1. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save. Neither is ear heavy that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God.
So God will extend the hand. God will hear the prayer if it's sincere. But if you are in the midst of sin, calling upon God, it'll do what? Read verse 2 again.
But your iniquities have separated between you and your God.
It will separate you from God that he will not hear. He will not extend his hand. He won't save you. That'll be Satan that shows up to speak to you and entice you in with more and more and more sin. So when you leave the truth of God, you turn your back, you break the bread, you don't keep the commandments no more, and you still doing all right in your life according to the world standards, just know that was Satan there that picked you up once you failed. That wasn't God. Read it again for him. Verse 2.
Verse 2. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear.
That he won't what?
Will not hear.
He won't hear that prayer to save you. No. Not if you're going to not walk the straight and narrow. But if you're ready to walk the straight and narrow, God said, my hand is extended to save those that are lowly, that understand that they have disappointed themselves and others or had a regression. He's there to save them and extend them a hand and get them back on the straight and narrow. Give me that in Sirach chapter 15. Let's go back to that. We was in it a little earlier. Let's go back to Sirach chapter 15 and let's read verse 14 now.
Sirach chapter 15 and verse 14.
Yeah.
He himself made man from the beginning.
Hold on. You in Sirach 15 verse 14?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Sirach chapter 15.
I was looking at 13. Go ahead.
Sirach chapter 15 and verse 14. He himself made man from the beginning and left him in the hand of his counsel.
Read.
if thou wilt to keep the commandments and to perform acceptable faithfulness.
If you are willing to do those things, separate yourself from sin so you can become close to God, so he can hear your prayers and extend the hand unto you, because it's not shortened. But if you are willing to learn the commandments, keep the commandments in the faith of Christ, he hath did what? Verse 16.
He hath set fire and water before thee. Stretch forth thine hand unto whether thou wilt.
That fire and that water is life and death. He set it before you. The water is where God's hand is extended. The fire is where Satan is waiting on you. Read that again.
He hath set fire and water before thee. Stretch forth thine hand unto whether thou wilt. Before man is life and death.
There you go. The fire and the water is life and death. Read.
And whether him liketh shall be given him.
There you go. So the thing is, that's the straight and narrow, right? Now, the thing is about it, if you have a setback, are you going to stay down and never come back? Are you going to stay down, or are you going to come back? Now, give me that in Sirach 23. And I want you to read verse 2, because a lot of times when we have a setback, you know, the thing that keeps us from coming back a lot of the times. Read it, verse 2.
Sirach chapter 23 and verse 2. Lest mine ignorances increase and my sins abound to my destruction.
Our sins begin to abound. For what reason? Read.
And I fall before mine adversaries, and mine enemy rejoice over me, whose hope is far from thy mercy. O Lord.
You ain't in Sirach 23 and 2? Where you at, man? Them Cambridges, boy, I tell you.
Sirach chapter 23 and verse 2.
Bless his heart. Read,
who will set scourges over my thoughts.
Well, so now back to our regularly scheduled program. What holds us back when we set back a lot of the times? Read it again.
Who will set scourges over my thoughts.
A lot of times it's our thoughts that hold us back. Our thoughts hold us back from coming back once we've had a disappointment. Well, once we've dabbled in the fire, we have regressed and had a turnabout. Our thoughts, Satan uses our thoughts to plague us and keep us down, thinking that we are unworthy to come back to God when God already said, I've multiplied mercies unto the 10,000th of generation for you to get back up and show my glory to the world. Read that again, verse 2.
Who will set scourges over my thoughts, and the discipline of wisdom over mine heart, that they spare me not for mine ignorances, and it pass not by my sins.
Now jump back up to verse 1.
O Lord, Father and Governor of all my whole life.
That's the Most High God. Go ahead.
Leave me not to their counsels.
Leave us not to our counsels of our own thoughts. Why? Give me that in Sirach about how your thoughts will tell you more. What is that? Sirach 37, verse 14. What do our thoughts do? This is why Sirach, Jesus, the son of Sirach, is telling us, man, Lord, don't leave me over to my thoughts. Don't do it. Set scourges over them. Read that, Sirach 37 and 14.
Sirach chapter 37 and verse 14.
Don't leave me to their counsels. Go ahead.
For a man's mind.
A man's what?
A man's mind.
A man's thoughts. Read on.
Is sometime wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen.
Who's doing that though? Who is telling you more than what it actually is? That's Satan using the desires, the lust that is in us to tell us more than 7 watchmen. A part of Satan's trick bag is doubt as well. Thinking that you're not worthy to come back when God said, I got mercy for you. Take hold of my hand. I'm here to save the lowly. Satan steps in and says, you done wrong too much. You can't get back up no more. No, it's over for you. No, you'll never be the same. You might as well just quit now. Read that again, verse 14.
Verse 14. For a man's mind is sometime wont to tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower.
In a high tower. Read on.
And above all this, pray to the Most High that he will direct thy way in truth.
When your thoughts get the best of you and they start telling you more than 7 watchmen, things that ain't actually there or happening at the present time, God says, pray unto me. Satan is on you. Satan's battling you right now. You don't even know it. And he's using the thoughts that are in your head that nobody can see to keep you down from coming back. Read on. Read the next verse, 16.
Verse 16. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
Every thought, counsel, because Satan can use them against you. Let's go back now to Sirach chapter 23, and let's read verse 1 again.
Sirach chapter 23 and verse 1. O Lord, Father and Governor of all my whole life, leave me not to their counsels.
Because your counsels, your own thoughts can run wild and tell you more than 7 men that got a better view of the situation than yourself. That see, yeah, you can get back up. You can come back. All you got to do is fight Satan's evil, enticing ways that he has to entice you of your own lust. Know what he's using to battle you with. We see it. Now fighting. Read that again, verse 1.
Verse 1. O Lord, Father and Governor of all my whole life, leave me not to their counsels, and let me not fall by them.
Because what will happen eventually is that you'll end up falling. You'll be in a permanent setback if you allow your thoughts to overtake you. Give me that in Sirach chapter 30. Now look what happens when you fall and you're in that setback stage and you don't think you can get up because your thoughts, Satan's playing with your thoughts and he's overcome you with them. Sirach 30 verse 21.
Sirach chapter 30 verse 21. Give not over thy mind to heaviness.
To heaviness, the thoughts. Go ahead.
And afflict not thyself in thine own counsel.
That's what you're doing. When your thoughts have caused you to fall, you've afflicted yourself in your own thoughts, your own counsel. That's Satan conjuring up thought that ain't really there. Read on.
The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days.
Okay, so now give me that video number 1. When those thoughts get to weighing heavy on you and got you in a loophole of a setback, a constant state of setback, and you just can't seem to overcome it. Look at this video. It kind of explains it. Go ahead.
Once you start questioning yourself, once you start going into a state of depression and you start being by yourself and you start thinking and wondering, once you start wondering, you already lost. Even if you don't believe. I'm the best right now. And if you want to go through motivational speaking, you got to go through me. Ain't nobody doing it like this. They all wear shirt and tie. Ain't nobody bring hip hop to motivation. I must be the greatest. I shook up motivational speaking. I changed the whole genre. I must be the greatest, not because I'm cocky, but I gotta tell myself I'm the best if I'm gonna be the best. I gotta believe in me before anybody else believe in me.
That's heavy. That goes into your thoughts. Now he equated it to motivational speaking, but you gotta believe that you can come back from the setback. You gotta believe it before anybody else believes it. Go ahead and play it again. I want that to sink into people. I want them to hear it again. You got to believe in yourself that you can come back before anybody else can. Because Satan is there to keep you down. But you got to believe in you. Play it again.
Once you start questioning yourself, you already lost. Once you start questioning yourself, once you start going into a state of depression and you start being by yourself and you start thinking and wondering, once you start wondering, you already lost. Even if you don't believe. I'm the best right now. And if you want to go through motivational speaking, you got to go through me. Ain't nobody doing it like this. They all wear shirt and tie. Ain't nobody bring hip hop to motivation. I must be the greatest. I shook up motivational speaking. I changed the whole genre. I must be the greatest, not because I'm cocky, but I gotta tell myself I'm the best if I'm gonna be the best. I gotta believe in me before anybody else believe in me.
Heavy. And a part of one of those things of you believing in yourself, you got to get up away from your own thoughts. Get around brothers and sisters. Get around them. So Satan don't have you by yourself playing on your thoughts. You got to believe that you're righteous. So Satan will flee from you. Now, give me that. Let's go back to Sirach chapter 2, because I told you we was going to come back to that. Let's go to Sirach chapter 2. So how do you come back from a setback? Sirach chapter 2, let's read 2 through 4.
Sirach chapter 2 and verse 2. Set thy heart aright.
You got to do what?
Set thy heart aright.
You got to first off set your mind right. Cast off the thoughts that you have fallen by, that Satan using to plague you to keep you down. First, you got to set your mind right. And the place you set your mind right is in the scriptures. You start reading, and upon reading, God will direct your spirit to do what? To nurture you, to reprove you as well, and then bring you back. You got to set your mind right, because the thoughts have overtaken you and caused you to fall and stay there. Verse 2 again.
Set thy heart aright. And constantly endure.
Constantly endure. Read on.
And make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
At thy last end. Read on.
Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully.
Take it cheerfully. It's a reason for it. Go ahead.
And be patient when thou art changed to a low estate.
God said be patient in your setback. That don't make no sense. You should be trying to get up out of that thing quick. Wait a minute, I done fallen and I can't get up. Let me get up real quick. God said be patient. What does that mean? Be patient in a setback. Let's see. Give me that in Psalms chapter 55, verse 16. Remember, how do you come back from a setback? God told you to be patient. Okay, let's see. Psalm 55, 16, 17. What does that mean to be patient?
Psalms chapter 55 and verse 16. As for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me.
He gonna do what?
Save me.
That we keep reading that over and over again. So if you got that thought in your mind that if you're trying to come back, God done cut you off, he ain't dealing with. No, God said, I'm hearing the lowly. I'm going to save them. Read that again for him. Verse 16.
As for me, I will call upon God.
Because I have left off the ways of sin. I am denouncing. I'm not letting Satan entice me no more. I'm going to keep the commandments and the faith in Christ. Read.
And the Lord shall save me.
Now, here's what it means to be patient. Read.
Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud.
Read it again.
Evening and morning and at noon.
Evening, morning, and noon. 3 times a day will he what?
Will I pray.
Will I pray. Read on.
And cry aloud.
And cry aloud. Bishop just mentioned it in his class about Putin opens the vaults. When you pray unto the Lord, cry aloud. Don't give God no boring prayer, especially when you're trying to get back up, when you're trying to come back. Let him know you mean it in your prayers. Evening, morning, and noon, 3 times will I pray and cry aloud. And what happens?
And he shall hear my voice.
Being patient is going to God 3 times a day, even when you don't see no change. You still struggling. You still set back. Being patient is going to God 3 times a day. Even if you don't see no change, you still crying aloud to God. Give me that in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Why does God want that 3 times a day in your setback to be patient. Hebrews 11:1.
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1.
Yes, go ahead.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Because even if you don't see nothing, you exercising faith. Even if you don't see nothing, in your patience of being set back, you still praying 3 times a day. You showing God that you have faith, even though you ain't seen no change. You still struggling, but you still praying 3 times a day. Now jump up to verse 6.
Verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
So in that being patient and praying and crying aloud in the prayer, it's pleasing to God that you are diligently seeking him. That diligently seeking is the patience. And on top of that, you faithful because you don't see no change, but you believe it's still coming in you. You believe that your prayer is going to reach the ears of God and he's going to extend the hand and save you. Even though you don't see it right now, you still struggling with the temptations, you still patient and you're praying 3 times a day in it. Now, with that, read it again. Almost the bottom half of this. Read it again.
And that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
Now, rewards come in the patience. Now, the thing about it is, with the rewards that come from diligently seeking him and coming back, give me that in Psalms 55 again, and let's go back to 17. Watch this. So he diligently rewards, right? Psalm 55. Let's read verse 17 and 18.
Psalms chapter 55 and verse 17. Evening and morning and at noon will I pray and cry aloud. And he shall hear my voice.
He hears my voice. If you diligently seek him, seeking a comeback from the setback, he hears the voice. And what happens? Verse 18.
He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me.
The reward comes during the battle. It don't come after. It don't come before. The reward of diligently seeking a comeback comes during the battle. While you fighting off the lust, you're fighting off the enticing, you fighting off the thoughts. In the battle, what does it say again? Verse 18.
He hath delivered my soul in peace from
in what?
Delivered my soul in peace from the battle.
That was where?
That was against
you.
Me.
Was in the midst of it. It was against you. It was overtaken. You struggled. You had actually failed, and you was in the process of a setback. But you was fighting, and God said, I delivered him in the midst of the battle that was against me. Read on.
For there were many with me.
Mark chapter 7 got all of those spirits of the many that is against you. We ain't going to read it. I'm just saying those are the spirits. Galatians 5 and 17 on down. Those are the many that are against you. The many things that Satan uses to battle against you. But God said, I deliver you in the midst of the battle. Now, here's the thing about it. You got to understand why he would deliver you in the midst of the battle. When you fighting, he wouldn't do it before. He don't do it after, because if he took it away before, how could you ever learn from it? How could you ever come back from it? How could you ever know how to overcome it when it happened again? Because you might not be out the clear. You just won that battle, but you ain't won the war. If he took it away before it happened and didn't deliver you in the midst of you fighting, how would you ever learn how to come back from it? The same way, if you never lifted the weight, how could you get stronger? If you never ran the mile or walked those miles, how could you ever lose the weight? The reward comes during the battle. The weight comes off not after, it comes off during. You get stronger while you are lifting. It doesn't come before, it doesn't come after, it comes during the battle of those things. Give me that in 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Let's read it with Paul. Why God wouldn't take it away from us, but he left us in the battle to fight. Double-edged sword right here. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Let's read 6 on down.
2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 6.
Hold on, let me see if that's what I want. Oh yeah, go ahead.
But though I be rude.
No, wait a minute. That ain't what I want. Let me see. Hold on. I'm in the Cambridge. 2 Corinthians 12 and 6.
2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 6.
Yep.
But though I would desire.
For
though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. For though I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me.
So he was saying, I'm not as high. I'm not as high as you think I am. I'm not that. I'm you. I walk in your shoes. I go through the same things that you go through, from the top to the bottom. He's a leader of all the churches of the Gentiles. Said, I go through the same things that you go through. Go ahead, verse 7.
And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh.
A thorn in the flesh. It was given to him. Go ahead.
The messenger of Satan to buffet me.
So Paul had battle plan. He was given a battle to fight. A thorn in the flesh. He hinted to what it was. The thorn in the flesh is what Paul had to overcome. And what was that? It was lust. Paul never married. He didn't take on a wife during the work of the Lord. He had a thorn in his flesh. He had to overcome as well, the same as we do, all of us. Because what he say? There's no temptation that's not common to man. You battling lust and fornication and things. Paul did those things too. Christ did those things too. Read on.
For this thing I besought the Lord thrice.
He did what?
Besought the Lord thrice.
Hold on, wait a minute. What did David say? How many times did David say he was going to pray? Morning, noon, and night. That's thrice. Paul was doing what his ancestors was doing, what it was always commanded of. Matter of fact, give me that in Daniel chapter 6, verse 10. Paul prayed thrice. Paul was taking the counsel of his ancestor David and his ancestor Daniel. Let's read it. Daniel 6 and 10.
Daniel chapter 6 and verse 10.
Yeah.
Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day.
Thrice in the Greek, in the New Testament, because it was translated from the Greek. Thrice. He kneeled down 3 times, thrice a day. Go ahead.
And prayed.
Go ahead.
And gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime.
That was something common that Daniel did as well. He prayed 3 times a day. Remember, we are our ancestors. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to it faithfully. So let's go back to 2 Corinthians now. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, and let's read verse 8 again. Let's see if Paul was saved. Go ahead.
2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 8. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee.
Read.
For my strength is made perfect in weakness.
Paul was saved as well. He prayed 3 times a day. He was saved. Christ didn't take the thorn away because he wanted him to battle, but he didn't leave him by himself to battle it. The same way with us. We may have a thorn in our flesh that Christ never takes away, but he'll save you by answer. He said, my grace is sufficient for you. You can overcome it with me. As long as you keep Christ as the apple of thine eye, God's law as the apple of thine eye, you can overcome whatever Satan tries to use to set you back. Why? Read that again, verse 9.
Verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
When you are weak, the strength of Christ is perfect to save you. Read on.
Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me.
Now, give me that in Romans chapter 5. So what did Paul learn from the thorn in his flesh that he was battling to not to be set back on, but could be in a constant state of comeback? What did he learn during those times? Romans 5, verse 1.
Romans chapter 5 and verse 1.
Yep.
Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ.
Read on.
By whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of God.
So Jesus the Christ, our Savior, gives us grace. It gives us hope that we could go to God for forgiveness. You learn those things through Christ's grace that is strong enough or sufficient for thee. You learn that you got grace through Christ. Read on.
And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience.
Do what?
Tribulation worketh patience.
Tribulation teach you how to pray. Paul learned how to pray real good. Tribulation teaches you how to pray because you got to be patient and go through it. Tribulation will teach you some. It's going to say it. Keep reading.
And patience experience.
And patience will give you some experience of how to go through it. Remember, I just said, why did he take it away? Why did he just remove it away? Why does he let us go through the battle, the condition of the battle? Because he's trying to teach you something. He's giving you experience on how to overcome that spiritual demon Satan that's been around before you was here in the flesh, so you can know how to battle him in this flesh spiritually. You need that experience. You got to go through it. Read.
And experience hope.
And that experience increases your faith. Verse 5.
And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts.
All right. Now go to that video, number 2 I got. Let me see. What was that one called? Change is. Yeah. Pull that one up. So Paul learned those things in tribulation. Was it easy to overcome those things? Is it easy to overcome Satan? Is it easy to overcome the flesh? No, it's not. It is not. That's why it's a battle. Play that.
I do not believe in you more than you believe in yourself. Now listen to me, guys. The transition is going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you. Go from being on the block, going to be a high school dropout, to getting a GED. The transition is not easy. So what happens? In order for you to go from one level to the next level, in order for any man to transit, listen to me, in order for any woman to transition, for any man to transition, the thing that they want must be greater than the thing they currently have. Listen to me very closely. I didn't come in here to tell you you're going to finish school. I came to ask you what's next. I came to ask you what's next. For me, it's the Nobel Prize. I hope.
Now pause it real quick. Now see, he attained for those things that are of the world. We attain for those things that are in the heavenly places, right? The crown that comes from Jesus the Christ for all those that endure. But the point of that video is what? It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. The battle is not easy. Satan has many tricks. He has many things, many ways to entice you. As many evils upon this earth that the wicked have perfected in setting you back with. It's not easy, but you got to overcome it. Because in overcoming those things, you'll learn how to battle those things and become better and better and better at denying the temptations that Satan uses against you to fall. So I want to play that video one more time and mainly pay attention to the first half of it. Go ahead. Let's play it again.
I believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
You got to believe in yourself.
Now listen to me, guys. The transition is going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you. Go from being on the block, going to be a high school dropout to getting a GED. The transition is not easy. So what happens? In order for you to go from one level to the next level, in order for any man to transit, listen to me, in order for any woman to transition, for any man to transition, the thing that they want must be greater than the thing they currently have.
Stop. So the thing that you want would be the kingdom of heaven. The thing that you want would be to come back. It got to be greater than where you currently are in your setback. Y'all can drop that. You can drop that. So what, as I was saying, you have to want the thing that you are attaining for the comeback greater than or more than where you currently are. You can't want the setback more than you want the comeback. You got to want the comeback more than your current state of where you are. You got to want that thing. And like you said, it's not easy. Here's the proof of it. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 4. We're going to fly through these real quick. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4.
2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal.
Already understand it's warfare. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. It's a war, brothers and sisters. Ephesians 6 and 11.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 11. Put on the whole armor of God.
You're going to need the whole armor of God in this war. Give me that in Romans chapter 13 now. In this war, you're going to need the whole armor of God because it's not easy. Romans 13, 14.
Romans chapter 13, verse 14. But put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ.
That armor that you have to take upon you and put upon yourself is Jesus the Christ. You have to have him help you fight your battles against Satan. And we're not talking about that Jesus wept. No, not talking about that. We're talking about having the fear of the judgment that Jesus Christ will place upon you, the fear of the second death that he will place you in if you do not come back from the setback that you are currently in or that you may experience at any time, right? Go to 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Why do you have to have Jesus the Christ help you fight the battle? 1 Peter 5 and 8.
1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
That's because Satan is going to use what God wants you to overcome against you. He's going to make it hard. You can't defeat him without Christ. Your flesh ain't strong enough. That's the reason that Adam fell in the beginning. He gave in to his flesh, listened to his wife, and following after her into what we know as idolatry according to Wisdom of Solomon. Give me that Luke 4, verse 13. You can't defeat him without Christ in this war because of what? Back to Luke 4, verse 13.
Luke chapter 4 and verse 13. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season.
He departed from when?
From him for a season.
So when you win the battle, you with Christ. You got on the armor of God. You got your weapon of warfare. You win the battle. Satan is going to leave you for a season. And guess what he's coming back with? A new strategy. He coming back with a new strategy. You might have overcame him when it comes to the lust. Okay, I'm coming back. All right. Okay. I got it. I'm going to come back with envy this time. I'm going to bring the spirit envy with me. Oh, damn, they overcame that envy. Okay, I'm going to come back this time again. I'm going to come back with hatred. I'm going to sow some discord between this brother and that brother. And I'm going to get in with that. Or I'm going to sow some discord between this sister and this sister right here. They're going to get into a little petty argument and it's going to linger forever. Yeah, that's my strategy for them this time because I know that is inside of her. Oh, damn, I couldn't get him with that hatred and that envy, that discord. Dang. Okay, I'm going to come with some adultery. Yeah, I'm going to come with some adultery. I'm going to make his mind start wondering. I'm going to make her mind start wondering too. You know, can't get him with adultery. Hebrews 13 and 4, they apply that scripture. Okay, you know what I'm going to get him with? I'm going to get him with a little bit of lasciviousness. because I know the life he used to live. I know the life she used to live too before she came here. And I seen a speck of that inside of her. Satan's coming back with a new strategy. You need Christ to help you defend against the wiles of Satan. Right? Now, another strategy that Satan uses against us as a people, many of us, is that he uses the fact that many of us grew up without fathers to destroy us. I'm going to say that again. Another strategy that Satan uses against a lot of us, men, women alike, is that a lot of us grew up without fathers, and he uses it to destroy us. How does he do that? Give me that in Tobit chapter 4. How does Satan use our past, our childhood, to plague us in our adulthood? Tobit chapter 4, and I want you to read 1 through 6.
Tobit chapter 4 and verse 1. In that day Tobit remembered the money which he had committed to Gabal in Rages of Media, and said with himself, I have wished for death. Wherefore do I not call for my son Tobias, that I may signify to him of the money before I die?
So Tobit called his son Tobias, right? Okay, keep reading.
And when he had called him, he said, My son, when I am dead, bury me, and despise not thy mother, but honor her all the days of thy life, and do that which shall please her, and grieve her not. Remember, my son, that she saw many dangers for thee when thou wast in her womb. And when she is dead, bury her by me in one grave.
When thou wast in her womb. Okay, go ahead.
My son, be mindful of the Lord our God all thy days, and let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress his commandments. Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness. For if thou deal truly, thy doing shall prosperously succeed to thee, and to all them that live justly.
Many of us never received that fatherly talk because our father wasn't there. We didn't grow up with him, or we didn't know who he was. Many of us didn't get that fatherly talk that Tobit gave to Tobias of not to transgress the commandments, but to do uprightly all thy life and follow the ways of righteousness. Many of us never even received words of wisdom like that growing up. So we learned from the streets of what was right and wrong in this world, or how to survive. We didn't get that. Give me that in Sirach chapter 3, verse 11. Many of us didn't get that talk from our fathers. We didn't know him. He wasn't around. He didn't care. He knew about us. He didn't come around. Might have lived down the street from him, lived on the other side of town. He never came to see you. Read that. Sirach chapter 3, verse 11.
Sirach chapter 3 and verse 11. For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father.
Read that again.
For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father. And the mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children.
So a son that didn't grow up with his father, he has no father to glorify. You grow up thinking less of yourself. So Satan plays on your mind and implants low self-esteem into your thoughts. And you look for self-esteem in other ways, whether it be in whoremongering or whoring. If you're a woman, you look for it in monetary things, or fashion, or clothes. You may find it in drugs, liquor, weed, may even do hard drugs, crack cocaine, heroin, whatever it may be. But Satan implants that low self-esteem at an early age into your mind because you grew up having no father to glorify. So you thought less of yourself all your life. He put you in a permanent setback state of mind. Thoughts. But give me that in Jeremiah chapter 1. Jeremiah chapter 1, and I want you to read verse 4 and 5.
Jeremiah chapter 1 and verse 4.
But you got to know this. Read.
Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before I formed thee in the belly.
Before I put you into that situation,
I knew thee.
He knew what you was going to face in this world. He knew the setbacks that you was going to have from the time before you even entered into the flesh. when your soul was in the heavens, God said, I already know what you're going to go through. I know you're going to be in a setback. I know it. But keep reading.
And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
But he already ordained for you to be a comeback. Already. That's the story of many of our lives, that we always thought it as a negative, that we grew up without our father, or maybe grew up with our mother. It was just a bad situation in our childhood. But you have to go to God and have him not let your thoughts destroy you, or Satan uses them against you, to know that your birth was already ordained to be a comeback by God, to show the world that you will come back. And God is the one that set you up right, that set you on high. Read it again, verse 5.
Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations.
Already I ordained you to be a comeback for the world to see, for the nations to see. Jump down to verse 9 now.
Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, Behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant.
Verse 17.
Thou therefore gird up thy loins and arise and speak unto them all that I command thee. Be not dismayed at their faces, lest I confound thee before them.
Read.
For behold, I have made thee this day a defenced city.
A defense city.
And an iron pillar.
An iron pillar.
And brazen walls.
Brazen walls.
Against the whole land.
You was meant to be a comeback from your birth. Brother, sister, you was meant to be a comeback. Your shortcomings, your terrible childhood ain't meant to be a setback. It was meant to be a comeback to glorify God, to show the world that even though you tore down and grew up without the ideal situations, look what God can do. I'm proof of it. Give me that in is that what let me see. Okay, give me that that next video of ET. Give me that next video. How to stop.
Don't complain. Don't talk negative. That's average people talk normal. Average people talk problems. The greats talk solutions. Average people use their time to whine and complain. Average people say it's their boss' fault. It's their mother's fault. I used to be average. I used to say, when is my daddy coming to get me? When is my biological father going to come in my life? And when I would talk like that, I ended up getting kicked out of school. And while I talk like that, I ended up being homeless. And while I talk like that, I was broke. And then one day I woke up and said, Eric, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to get you. But you can go to the library and get yourself.
Where's our library at? Our library is what? The Bible. That's where we can find ourselves. This is where our fathers are. They are in the Bible. Yep, biological father ain't there. He ain't coming. I don't know him. I wasn't raised with him. I don't know him that well. God said, don't worry about that. Your fathers are in the Bible. Give me that in Malachi. Malachi chapter 4. And let's read, let me see. Bear with me. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 6.
Malachi chapter 4 and verse 6. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers.
To their fathers. Our fathers are in this Bible. God said, I was going to turn the heart of the father to the children, and the children to their fathers. God promised that he would do that. He's not a man that he could lie, that he would lie. So you ain't got to worry about the those that are live in the flesh and walk after the ways of this world to find your identity. You find your identity from your fathers that are in the Bible. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the prophets, the disciples, Jesus, the Christ. Those are our fathers. God said, I'll turn your mind back to them. Now, give me that in Ezekiel chapter 24. I want to read something real quick. Ezekiel 24. And I want you to read 15 through 18.
Ezekiel chapter 24 and verse 15. Also the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke.
The desire of any man's eyes is his wife, the one that he has become one flesh with. So God told Ezekiel, I am going to take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke. He told her how he was going to kill her. That's a setback, straight up. That's on your mind. You know that's going to happen. Read on.
Yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears run down.
He couldn't even cry. God did. Wow. Go ahead.
Forbear to cry. Make no mourning for the dead. Bind the tire of thine head upon thee, and put on thy shoes upon thy feet, and cover not thy lips, not the bread of men. So I spake unto the people in the morning.
So he spake unto the people in the morning, knowing that God had already told him, I'm going to kill your wife with a stroke. He's speaking to the people in the morning, and what happened?
And at even, my wife died.
On his mind all day, he knew that was going to happen. He knew it was coming. Read on.
And I did in the morning as I was commanded.
Even after his wife died at evening, he woke up the next morning and did as he was commanded. Ezekiel had a major setback in his life. Now I was making on this class. I put this in the class. It goes with it. Now look, this is how I thought. Now everybody could do this with me. Let's turn to the end of Ezekiel. Let's turn to the last chapter. And y'all can type in the chat, what is the last number of the chapter that y'all see in Ezekiel? What's the last number, right? What is that last number? That last number is what? Number 48. So let's just see. I'm just using this just to bring out your setback is a comeback. It's actually how it was. But I thought to myself, like, man, well, look at this. The Lord took away Ezekiel's wife in chapter 24. And the book of Ezekiel is 48 chapters. Let's just say each chapter is a year of Ezekiel's life. So God did what? God put him in a state of a setback halfway through his life. And he was commanded to do what for the rest of his life? Go out there and be a comeback. Apply that to your life right now. Half your life might have been a setback. But when God called you, he's telling you now, let the remainder of your life be a comeback. Just doing it off the number of the chapters, I thought to myself, what if Ezekiel's life was every year of a chapter, halfway through Ezekiel's life, he had a setback. And the rest of his life was used as a comeback. The same thing that can apply to us. Whether it be before, half our life might have been jacked up. Let the rest of your life be a comeback for all the world to see. I hope y'all get something out of that, all right? Give me that. Let's show you. Sirach 44, verse 1. Sirach chapter 44, let's read verse 1 on down.
Sirach chapter 44 and verse 1.
I hope that makes sense. That in chapter 24, Ezekiel he had a setback. 24 more chapters later, that is used to be a comeback. Ezekiel's life. All right. And he did it with what? The help of God. Sirach 44 verse 1.
Let us now praise famous men.
Who are we? We are famous men. We come from famous men. So you might not have grew up with a father in your life or a mother, whatever it might. We come from famous man, the most famous man that the world has ever heard about, read about, seen in images. That's who we come from. Read on.
And our fathers that begat us.
They are our fathers. They are our fathers. So when Christ or when God put you into that flesh and put you into a something that might have been deemed as a setback, no, he was just using it to show once you learn of your real fathers, the rest of your life is going to be a comeback. If you apply what your fathers have told you. Read on in that verse 2.
The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms.
Hold on. Mic check. You might go out.
Check.
Okay, go ahead. Read that again. Verse 3.
Verse 3. Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms, men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies.
And doing what?
Declaring prophecies.
Ezekiel declared prophecies. Ezekiel is one of those famous men, which is our fathers that begat us. Let's prove it some more. Go to 49 verse 8.
Sirach chapter 49 and verse 8.
Watch this. Go ahead.
It was Ezekiel.
It was who?
Ezekiel.
It was Ezekiel that did what?
Who saw the glorious vision.
He saw it. Ezekiel's whole life is a come up, is a comeback. He saw the glorious vision. Read on.
Which was showed him upon the chariot of the cherubims. For he made mention of the enemies under the figure of the rain, and directed them that went right.
That went right. Now check this out. Read.
And of the 12 prophets, let the memorial be blessed.
Ezekiel's one of the 12 prophets. And God said, let his memorial be blessed. Read.
And let their bones flourish.
Let their bones flourish where?
Again, out of their place.
Where?
Out of their place.
Hold on, read it again. And let their what?
And let their bones flourish again out of their place.
Again, out of their place. Ezekiel comeback is so great. God said, I'm bringing him back again. Let his bones flourish again out of their place. Read on.
For they comforted Jacob.
For they did what?
Comforted Jacob.
They comforted Jacob. So although Ezekiel had a setback, when he came back from that, he used the words to comfort Israel. Ezekiel 37, Ezekiel 36, 38, 35, 34. The destruction of our enemies, Esau, the Idumean, those words were to comfort Jacob. Read.
And delivered them by assured hope.
And delivered them by assured hope. So, as just the way that Ezekiel's life was a setback and then a comeback, the same way that we could be if we have setbacks, if we stray off the narrow path, if we have a turnaround, if we fall, God commands us to get back up and show forth the glory of God who made us. All right. So with that, Israel, I say shalom.
What is a nation?
Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, his word, is won!